Probably a story worth hearing. So if you don't mind, I would like to tell you about my first camp out with the Boy Scouts that led to many lessons learned all in one weekend. So, in Troop 208, we have a whitewater rafting camp out every year. The first time I went, I was only Weebo Scout. I wasn't even in Boy Scouts, but my brother was. And I was anxious to get a taste of the Boy Scout experience. When we arrived, I could barely contain my excitement. I sprang out of the car. It was then that I learned my very first lesson in Boy Scouts. I looked down at the muddy puddle I was standing in. As I felt the cold water seeping into my cotton socks, I thought to myself, golly, I should have worn hiking boots. As I pulled my soaking wet foot out of the mud, I looked up at the hill and saw our campsite way off in the distance. It was at that moment that I learned my second lesson in Boy Scouts. Only pack what you're willing to carry up a 45-degree angle to your campsite. So after some difficulty setting up my tent, I retreated to the campfire. I had learned my lesson from before, and I was now sporting my brand new pair of hiking boots. I put my feet up and began conversing with friends. As the night went on, my feet grew warm and toasty next to the fire. And sticky. Yeah, I melted my hiking boots together. So after going through the ordeal of getting Stephen Cole to pry my boots apart and promise not to tell my dad, sorry Dad, I went to get some water, which I promptly spilled all over my nice jeans. I trudged back to my tent in defeat, and I left my jeans out to dry. As I drifted off to sleep, all I could think about was how my friends were talking about the steaming hot beef stew that we eat on the halfway point of the rafting trip. The warmness of the stew heats up your body after you've been paddling in the frigid water all day. I was pretty cold in my sleeping bag that night, and soup sounded pretty good then, too. I woke up the next morning and peered out my tent. It had snowed, which means that my water-soaked jeans from the night before were no longer wet. They were frozen solid. We ate breakfast and then headed out to the rafting lodge. I was placed on raft number 6, along with Horizons, my dad, and a few others. I watched eagerly as a large cooler of beef stew was loaded onto raft number 4. I felt my mouth watering as the intoxicating aroma teased my olfactory senses. Immediately after we embarked, I felt the chill of the water. The trip was planned for right after the snow melts, so we have the best rapids, and coincidentally the coldest water. As we trekked down Cattaraugus Creek, I kept a watchful eye on raft number 4, and the precious beef stew it held. Each rapid we went over splashed more water on me, and soon I began to lose feeling in my fingertips, and then my toes, and then my arms, and then my face. By the time I was sure I was hypothermic, I asked my dad when we were stopping. He said we have one more quick set of rapids, and then we would pull aside for our break. I could not wait for the piping hot beef stew to trickle down my throat and reheat me. I was thinking these thoughts, and I heard Justin yell, "Look! A raft tipped over in the rapids!" My heart skipped a beat. Was I concerned about the people floating in the water? Absolutely not. I had one thing on my mind. I checked my surroundings. Raft number 1, raft number 2, raft number 3, raft number 5. I'm on raft number 6. That's raft number 7. A chill ran down my spine. I looked over the side of the boat. Floating in the water, I saw a carrot. I saw some SpaghettiOs. I saw little chunks of beef. I had to fight to hold back tears. The beef stew was gone. We pulled everyone out of the water and then went ashore. The mood was tragic. We had a brief moment of silence, and Kyle Kaufman said some kind words. And as a troop, we mourned the loss of the beef stew. It still gets to me today. We finished our rafting excursion and went back to the lodge, where pizza was kindly ordered for us, and I will tell you, never again in my life have I consumed 12 pieces of pizza at such an astonishing rate. We made it back to camp, had a quick game of capture the flag, ate dinner, had a campfire, and went to bed. That night I could not sleep. I sat in my tent for hours until I heard the undeniable sound of an adjacent tent's flap being unzipped. I stepped outside my tent and saw a scout whom I'd seen a couple times before the previous day, but I wasn't quite sure of his name. I said hi, just being thankful that someone else was awake, and before I could say anything else, he said, "Follow me." I followed him to a field next to our campsite. We stood there and watched the dew drip from the tall grass as the sun rose over the hills. That was the moment that, even with all the horrible things that had gone wrong, that I realized I wanted to be a Boy Scout. The young scout's name was Matt Henderson, someone who I've not seen in a very long time, but I feel I owe my interest in scouting to. Flash forward a few years and you see me motoring through the ranks towards Eagle. In 18 hours, one day at 7 ranges, I went from the rank of scout to the rank of tenderfoot to the rank of second class. Obviously, it got a little more difficult from there. But with strong leaders to guide me on my path and loyal friends to tell me, don't throw acorns in the fire, they'll explode, I was able to make it to where I am today. And of course, every now and then I would stray from the path the leaders directed me to. And of course I threw acorns in the fire, they explode. I'm a Boy Scout, that kind of stuff's cool. But the point is, I did not get here alone. I have made some great... I'll leave it. I have made some of my greatest memories in scouting playing football with Mr. Stoutman, or performing campfires with Rob, or listening to Tim Reed greatly exaggerate stories. I've learned valuable life skills through NYLT, like communication and leadership. I have forged friendships that will last a lifetime. Scouting has had a more profound impact on me than I could ever have anticipated. I feel I am a better person and I contribute more to society because of scouting. I would like to thank specifically a few people for helping me to get here. I would like to thank my dad for all the time he's about helping me prepare for camp and for forgiving me and giving me some much needed encouragement to get my Eagle project done. I would like to thank my mom for being so supportive and forgiving me after I tracked mud through the house after every camp out. I would like to thank my brother James for leading by example and not getting too mad when I borrowed your mess kit and water bottle and hiking boots and ground pad and flashlight and gloves and many other things that you may not know I took on camping trips with me. I would like to thank my friends in Troop 208 for motivating me to be my best and showing me all the unusual places one can get poison ivy. I would like to thank all my friends from NYLT for providing me with memories and teaching me to check my sleeping bag for mousetraps each night. I would like to thank Mr. Larman, Mr. Hill, Mr. Grimsey, Mr. Stoutman, and all the other adults in my troop for keeping me on track and teaching me the proper technique for dozing off in a camp chair. I would like to thank Mr. Gates specifically for working closely with me in my years in scouting and for all the valuable insight and experience he gave me, which inspired and motivated me to achieve all that I have thus far. And for those reasons, I would like to invite Mr. Gates up here to receive my mentor pin. Lastly, I would like to thank Nate for being by my side pretty much the whole way. It means a lot, and I'm glad I can celebrate with you. 1 second. As I wrap up my speech, I would like to challenge those scouts out there who have not yet risen to Eagle. I would like to challenge you to challenge yourselves. If you could go back in time, and I could meet little 4th grade Andrew that camp out at Cattaraugus Rapids, I would tell him this, the same which I say to you now. Keep working, keep pushing for your goals, because the feeling you get when you see your vision come to fruition is worth every bit of effort you've put in. Cherish the moments that you spend in scouting, because before you know of it, you'll be leaving to forge a different trail. Treasure your friends and family, along with those who help you along the way. And most importantly of all, don't cry over spilled beef stew. Thank you.